So the cider process is more similar to wine than it is to beer. It typically is around a 6 to 8 week fermentation period. The wine typically can be a little bit longer than that. The fermentation process is typically 6 to 8 weeks, give or take. It's going to depend a lot on how much sugar is in the sweet cider, in the soft cider, as well as what style of yeast is used to ferment. We are using a cider-specific strain of yeast, which means that is fermenting a nice slow roll. It's keeping that temperature nice and cool, not too hot, and that's getting a beautiful extraction of all of those different flavors, all that different complexity that is in the flavor profile of the apple.
The fermentation process begins where we are adding different things to possibly adjust the pH or the acidity of the juice that we are using at that point, because as the season starts and when the season finishes, sometimes the apples change slightly. If it's drier weather, or sometimes just during the harvest, if it turns a little bit drier by the time you get them harvested, the apple itself can get slightly sweeter or change ever so slightly to have to make an adjustment in the fermentation process.
Now, when you're producing the cider, you typically want to use a blend. So whenever possible, we're mixing different types of apples together. In the case of our Honeycrisp blend, for example, it's an 80% Honeycrisp with 10% Macintosh and then 10% Delicious apples blended in there. And what that blending process does is balance out all the flavors. You have your bitter sharps, you have your tarts, all of those different flavor profiles within the apple are going to add complexity to the final product. Now, when we do a non-pure apple cider, when we do like a fruited cider, a berry cider, such as our blueberry or our raspberry varieties, those are done in a co-fermentation style, which means not only is the sweet cider being fermented, but the berries are fermented in with the apples. And that gets a nice development of flavor there as well. You're getting the flavor profile, the extraction from the blueberries or from the raspberries really playing nicely with the extraction from the apples.